are now about to witness a masterpiece unfold in front of your very eyes. I hereby present to you rewriting God of War Ragnarok.
Hold up. Let me stop you right there. Why do you feel like you have to rewrite this critically acclaimed game? Are you claiming that you can do a better job than the developers? Yeah.
You absolute, unqualified moron!
Yeah, God of War Ragnarok was an excellent game. Everybody knows this already, and it is easily one of my favorite games of all time. But I know that I am not the only one who feels like this game left out a lot of untapped potential.
And that is the purpose of this video today. I'm creating a new series where I'm going to be rewriting the story and altering the gameplay of God of War Ragnarok until I am satisfied.
And before certain individuals get started, I do not think I could do a better job than the developers. I'm not a writer. I never claimed to be a writer. Just consider this a God of War fanfiction.
Now allow me to make like a presidential candidate and display all of my promises to the world. So my very first change of the story, and this is a very big one, Ragnarok will not just be one game, it will be split into two parts. If I were to name these two games, it would be God of War Ragnarok Part 1 and God of War Ragnarok Part 2. Yes, I'm copying off of the Deathly Hallows. What are you going to do about it? I heard people say that only having 2 games for the Norse Saga was a good thing because having a third one would have been overdoing it and it would have been a repeat of the original trilogy, but I disagree with that. One way that the modern God of War saga differentiates itself from its predecessors is how they put a lot of spotlight on the side characters. Almost every side character in here has their own story arc and their own personality. And in God of War Ragnarok, there's a lot of characters. Ragnarok has a lot going on, almost even too much that they have to wrap up in this 30-hour long story. And I believe if you had a third game, this would be able to remedy this effect because it would give us more time to pace things out. And it would not be a repeat of the Greek saga at all because the narrative would speak for itself. Now, I say all that stuff to justify this significant change, but the only reason why I'm adding a third game because I think it would be cool. The next thing that I'm going to be adding to this rewrite is there's going to be more Norse characters that's going to make an appearance. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that Ragnarok doesn't have enough Norse characters, but when I was researching Norse mythology, I feel like there's a couple of characters that didn't make an appearance in the game, which really should have. Now, this is not necessarily improving the story, but I'm adding these new Norse characters for the purpose of the variety. And that is all I'm going to say for now. Stay tuned to watch how everything else unfolds. Now, starting off the rewrite, I'm not really about to change much in the first part of God of War Ragnarok because it's already too good. The introduction of God of War Ragnarok in the beginning part of the game is already really good on its own and in my opinion doesn't really need to be altered. The only thing I'm going to do is add a couple of minor details that I'm going to expand upon in the future. So yeah, the story starts off exactly the same. Kratos is going to be looking sad in that cave until Atreus comes up, and then they leave the cave and get attacked by Freya, and then they're able to run away from Freya and go home and see Fenrir die. He transfers his soul and they walk in, try to get some rest, and he dreams about Faye. All that stuff is exactly the same. It is only when we get to the gameplay is when we will see our very first change. I'm not sure if everybody's default controller inputs are the same, but y'all know how Circle's main purpose is to interact with shit, like hop off of a ledge or climb over something or swing on something? We're gonna give Circle a bigger purpose. Now, hear me out. In the rewrite, if you tap Circle, Kratos will be able to hop. Is that it? Yep, that's the first mechanic that I'm adding. Kratos will be able to hop if you tap Circle without any other inputs, and also if you're not standing next to something he can interact with. Now, I know some might find that a little bit underwhelming, but keep an open mind. The potential will be tapped in very soon. But as we return to the narrative, it is going to be pretty much the same recipe all the way up until Kratos gets done fighting Atreus as a bear. As they begin to head home, they see the dead bear on the floor and the cubs left with their dead parent. And Atreus still feels guilty, and Kratos still says how intentions doesn't matter, only consequences. After they get done fighting their set of enemies, they see a wolf on top of one of the hills that the raiders came down from. They look and see that the wolf has glowing purple eyes and begins to bark at them until they hear a loud crack of lightning, and then the wolf runs away. Atreus comments on how he never seen a wolf with glowing purple eyes before, and hearing the eye color of the wolf, Mimir seems a little concerned and uneasy, but he doesn't say anything about it. They continue on home and everything plays out pretty much the same. Thor and Odin pulls up to their house and make the peace offering. Kratos refuses, and then they get on with the fight. The only thing I'm going to be changing with the first Kratos versus Thor fight is I'm going to add another move to Thor. So basically in the second fight, he has the moves where he can fly up in the air and attack you from there, or he can like teleport or zip around real fast with his hammer. I'm basically going to be adding those moves to Thor when he decides to fight with his hammer. I'm also going to make Thor's health bar way more beefy, so when you hit him, his health barely goes down. This shows that Thor is way stronger than that, and he's way more durable than that. And it also shows that Kratos is pulling back his punches, and he's not really going to be able to do anything to Thor until that final punch, of course. I'm not making his boss fight longer, I'm just making his health bar more beefier, and it's just going to seem quicker when he gets stunned. But when he gets stunned, he's not going to be on his knees or nothing like that. He's still going to be standing up. You just got to press R3. Did I mention that I'm going to be buffing the Norse gods in this rewrite? It's not going to be a buff that's going to be too significant, but it's going to show that they are just as competent, just as powerful, and just as intelligent as their Greek counterparts. But other than that, the Thor fight ends exactly the same. They both leave Kratos and Atreus alone for a minute until Atreus has to show Kratos about that prophecy that he found. So when they reach that prophecy, I'm going to be changing certain details on the story that they are shown. In the original prophecy, Odin captures Skoll and Hati, and then the giants free them and send them to Vanaheim, where they chase the sun and the moon. But what I'm going to be changing is, instead of just chasing the sun and the moon, they're actually going to be chasing Sol and Mani from actual Norse mythology. So instead of somebody kidnapping the moon, somebody's actually going to kidnap Mani himself, and that's going to be a part of the story as we progress. The final change that I'll be making today is when you have access to the menu, when you get to unlock new moves for the axe and the Blaze of Chaos, you'll notice that barehanded combos will be put back into the game. I have no idea why they decided to take them out, but it was just a horrible move in my opinion. It don't say because of the spear. I find that to be not a good enough excuse in my opinion. The barehanded combos in 2018 made Kratos so much faster, and it added so much more variety. I love the spear, but come on, it's no reason why we shouldn't have had both. But other than that, that concludes the part 1 for this Ragnarok rewrite. Part 2 will be coming out soon, and we're going to meet Kratos and Atreus again, where they're going to be looking for Tyr in Svartalfheim. Keep in mind when creating this rewrite, I'm assuming that I have a gajillion-dollar budget and I have absolutely no deadline to go by. This is something that video game developers do not have the luxury of exploiting, because we all know that video games and stories take a lot of work to create. I, as a fan, am merely building upon the foundation that has already been set and also exercising my imagination. But other than that, let me know what y'all think about it so far, and stay tuned as I create the Elden Ring killer.
Keep your guard up.
Wait, I'm about to loot first.
Wow. L friend, man. L friend.
You'll be alright.